Welcome back to our Muscle and Hustle podcast. As always, Tony is in a different place again. I am in the same place again, and he's drinking a Pepsi.
Dad, Dr. P.
Oh, for fuck's sake, America's got him, guys.
Got me by the balls. Got me by the balls. It is, I can't believe it's Dennis. It's 8:45 with me. What time's it with you? Like two time,
4-2.
quarter two. Yeah, look, everything is great. Yeah, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, which is, I don't know, like it's just such a random place to be.
You told me you were in Washington D.C.
It was,
Was that yesterday?
I thought I was in Washington. I thought
For fuck's sake.
Now that I thought I was in Washington, I thought I was going to Washington. So like, man, I, Thursday, what was it, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever night it was last week. So I had no flights booked, obviously, it was out of the accommodation. I just texted,
Yeah.
like, where am I going here? Because I was like, whereabouts? And he was like, no, bro. He was like, it's near Washington. And I was like, right, so where am I? So I had to fly to Atlanta and then get a connection. So I'm actually in Richmond. So I'm about an hour from Washington. So you can fly into Washington and drive down, or you can fly in straight. So I just flew in because I was like, there's no way I'm fucking driving that road.
It's nice to see them places, but it's like I know a few people's been to Richmond before, and it's nice to kind of get off the beaten path a bit.
It's very much off the beaten path. It feels like you're staying in a small town back home because I was like, what the fuck do I do here whenever I'm not recording? Because obviously I've only came here for one real reason. Like I came to film with JPG. So it's
Yeah.
just like I've been here, like we've just been scripting and filming, but like I'm like, what, like there's no real sights to see. There's a couple parks. I'm just like, it's funny because I'm just like, I feel like I'm just like living in like a wee Hollywood set where like I just stay in my hotel room, do a little bit, go out for a walk, and then it's like, right, time to go film. It's fucking weird. Like,
But then again, like, suppose like
good problem.
it's a good problem to have. Like, it's not like you're not on holidays technically, because this is just your daily life.
No, everybody's saying to me, they're like, "Hope you enjoy your trip," and I'm like, "This isn't really like a holiday. Like you need to realize, like I'm still up at like stupid o'clock. I'm still working all the hours, and then like, I'm not trying to make it seem like oh, but I'm like getting a few stories up. But like for example, like last night for example, since Friday night we've been scripting for 2 to 3 hours a day, and then we'll meet at 8 p.m. because he's a key to goals, and we'll go into goals when it's closed and film from 8 to 11:30 at night. And then I'm not home and into bed to 12:30, and then you're Joe up, bite to eat, and then you're back to scripting really. So it's just like that's all I done. But then you'll see me throw up on Instagram like a story of me and him going out for food, making it look like crack, and you're like, oh, they're living the life. Whereas I'm like, yeah, don't get me wrong, the crack's great. I wouldn't change it for the world. But it's like it definitely looks a little bit different from the outside than what it is on the inside whenever you're here, I suppose.
It's just a different way of working.
Mm,
It's just like it's someone's
different
different
job.
work life. It's different type of job. It's like people are like, oh, like people would say that about like me and whatever. They go, oh, you have the times of it, but you don't
Feels like
see the shit. Like they go, aye, there is the freedom of it. Like that's brilliant that you're not like locked to a desk or you have to be somewhere 9 to 5. But there
oh,
is that, like people would say like, oh, Tony's the times when he's traveling about. They're like, aye, but the man's still putting in 7 to 8 hours a day, like doing stuff.
yeah, like work continues. That's the only reason you can fucking live by it. Now, don't get me wrong, I take the weekends off or whatever I need. This weekend I didn't get because we had to film, but it's like tomorrow's a travel day, so majority of tomorrow will be off. It's just one of them things where like I wouldn't change it for the world whatsoever, but it's just like it's just the stuff you wouldn't really see that you're like, fuck, that adds up and it's just different. It just feels like I'm like not acting, but it just feels like you're all getting ready for your filming, which is 3 hours per day. So you're just like, holy fuck. So it's just like very strange that like that's what your main priority was. Like if you asked me 5 years ago or 4 years ago when we started the podcast and I was doing 200 check-ins a week, 200 one-to-one clients, and you goes to me, what will you be doing in 4 years? I probably would have said firefighting and doing 200 one-to-one check-ins and I was probably just around then. I just had quit. Probably just had quit.
You just finished the
Just
fire
quit.
service.
And yeah, I just finished. So I would have been like, oh, I'll be coaching. Whereas now I'm not that I'm barely coaching. I'm coaching the app, doing a little bit of one to one. But like I would say like 80% of what I do now is like marketing. Like it's like
Yeah.
my face on things. It's like very interesting too. I'm getting a lot of fucking brands coming at me now, not just supplements, like clothing brands, fashion brands, and
You
some
pay
of
the
them
gap.
Mate, no, not Baby Gap, Baby Gap. Giacomo. The oversized model is not what they run for. Before,
uh,
oh, well, fuck me, everybody be coming at me. Why are you slagging them? Shut the fuck up, it's a joke. Uh, I'm probably gonna get fucking cancelled anyway at some stage, you know me. But yeah, look, things are going well. I'm out here in Collab, and he's a JPG's top lad. If anybody doesn't know,
his content's actually very good.
very
He's one of the
informative.
people. He's very very good. Like
He cracks up. I be calling him a politician. Because I'm like, you're like a politician. I'm like, everything is always like laid into like, oh, but it depends, and it's this and that. I'm like, yeah, I completely agree with me, science based, but I was saying
yeah
I try and simplify it so much to the point of where like technically you could probably argue the point against me very well because I haven't explained it in depth enough. But I was like, for my audience, like they're just it's too intense. Like I was like, I'm trying to keep it funny. I'm trying to do like value
yeah
entertainment, like a bit of education, bit of humor. And the funniest thing is I found that like if anybody knows Alex Hormozy, like he was doing this quite a lot, and I found his recent videos very interesting. So he said there's like sort of there's entertainment, education, and then like sort of in the middle ground, like value tainment, where you're giving a bit of both. And he found the more he leaned towards entertainment, he got more views, but he was highlighting that like not all views are created equally.
yeah
Like the quality of your following isn't obviously the only thing that matters, because when you break it down, you look at it like. I do have coaching clients that are on board with me, and like I'm teaching them new mentorship, and some of them have 10,000 followers and they're doing 20, 30K months. And then I have people with 100,000 followers that are struggling to do £5,000 a month. So I do believe a lot of it comes down to who you are as an individual. Are you walking the walk? But we'll not bore you with the business side of things. Yeah, America's great. Like I really enjoy the States. I think it's great. I think the last podcast we done is on fire. I'm looking for. I think I'll be home on the 14th anyway, and then uh, there's possibly going to Portugal. I'm definitely going to Australia at the end of the year. A lot of people are asking me. That's lined up for the 19th of August. That's roughly the date I'll be there, 20th of August. For
you're going to Australia 20th of August.
Yeah, so I have a mastermind in Fiji for, I know it sounds mental, but like I've got a business mastermind thing in Fiji for a week, 12th to 19th. And Fiji, I haven't double checked, but I'm pretty fucking sure it's like very, very close. So
Aye, well,
it's that
aye,
that side. It's gotta be a
aye.
shorter flight than Ireland. So
Oh yeah.
it wraps up the 19th. Caroline McKenna's over there that date as well. So I think that lines up nicely. She's obviously fucking knows everything about Australia. So I'm thinking 2 weeks in Sydney, and then I got offered to do a collab in Melbourne, which is sort of I can't turn down. He's got like almost a couple mil followers. So that'll be a big one. And then I'm thinking Gold Coast, but I'm open to people leaning in here. But I want to see what it's like, because once I've done it, mate,
Well,
I've done a lot. Like I've done
well, you're probably better go Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast because you don't want to double back on yourself. You have
two
to fly
Melbourne,
back.
maybe.
So Gold Coast above Sydney, Melbourne's below Sydney. Just
That
depends. At there, you don't want to double back on yourself, but yeah, you have nobody better to show you about Sydney than Caroline. Like.
You once that's done though, I'm very interested, because like the only places that I really want to see then is probably, in my opinion, like once I've done that, like don't get me wrong, there's loads of places, but like San Diego, I would like to see more Thailand beauty wise, because I've seen the rest of Southeast Asia or the Philippines. One or the other would do me, and then I want to see Japan or like
Oh, I was just about to say
the.
Japan's on my list.
I've
Big
seen
time.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. If anybody hasn't been, really, like the culture shock is absolutely mental. Like it's just, even, do you know the thing I find so impressive about Hong Kong? I'm such a weird person, but if anybody's never been, like, imagine London trains with aircon and loads of room, and there's that many going that like it's never busy. I was like, I can't get over how well systemized this motherfucker is. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
how like you imagine that a capital should be run. Like we're talking here, like I remember getting on the train, it was roasting outside, and it being like pure aircon, loads of seats, loads of room constantly. I was like, this is well fucking done. Now the food was manic, mate. That was not my vibe, but
Yeah.
like you be getting chicken and noodles out of a box, and there being one piece of chicken. That was a nightmare for a fucking bite to eat. Like, but it could be different now. But yeah, no way. Very maybe not go down the travel route again as much. But I think it's an interesting perspective thing as well. The the travel. But one thing that I've been doing a lot of lately, and I think you'll rate this as well, is like I've been saying, even whenever I'm away, because I think we all get warped into, like, I remember somebody saying once they were cracking up because their Sage coffee machine wasn't making the right coffee for them, and then they took a perspective and was like, one, I have a Sage machine, two, I'm getting a cup of coffee, three, there's people who can't even get fucking water, and I'm complaining about my fucking espresso not being the right one. And that's what you said to me this morning there. You goes to me, you look tired, and I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm feeling it, because I'm obviously not getting to sleep till like 1 a.m. now because of the filming, whereas normally I'm up at like 4. So I was like, this routine's fucked for me, so my body's just taxed. But like, would I rather that, or would I rather not film with JPG? And I'm like, yeah, sleep deprive me all I fucking want. I'll hit the caffeine, I'll pay for it. And it's like, how could things be worse? Well, I could be like this is such a gift for me. So to complain in any shape or form is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like when people, if somebody complains on holiday, like I remember going away. I think I told you about this. We went to La Sala in Marbella with a couple of individuals. We went a couple of times, and I remember the first time the same person, they complained about the steak not being cooked well enough. So then the second time we went back, he then complained that the steak was too small, even though it was cooked right. And then the third time, he just complained about the price. And I was like, I didn't mention it, but I was like, just it's built into that person to look for the small things that are off. Whereas I was like,
Yeah.
I just remember turning around whenever the person was complaining about the price, and I was like, would you rather eat this steak here for an extra €10 than where you normally are? Or would you rather eat it where you were? Because I was like, you're also paying for like your atmosphere, your environment, the people around you, the heat. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, it's like when people complain about the price, I'm like, but would you rather pay the same price you do in that place? And I was like, that's why it's nice to change scenery, because it probably feels like I've lived like 100 different lives. Like, it feels like I've been in Richmond like a month.
Yeah, it's actually something I've been actually thinking about myself. I'm thinking of maybe January going to Thailand.
I rate that. Like, I think if anybody's
Or
not,
maybe see January for me, other than Freshers Week, January's a heap of shite for pubs and clubs. It's fucking crap. So I'm thinking January, maybe go away for maybe 6 to 8 weeks.
I rate that. Where would you? Here's a good question for you. So, I'm home. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm home for a little bit. Then I'm away traveling. I'm not going to be home again till, by the looks of it, the last week of November. But my ones go away for Christmas this year. It's already booked. I'm not going. Could probably
Yeah.
book in. Where would you go by yourself for Christmas? Isn't that fucking a mad question to ask? But that's probably how my Christmas goes.
Well, it depends. I've actually thought about this because
I want to
I
do Speedos on the
really
beach. I think I want to do Speedos on the beach.
I really hate Christmas at home. I fucking hate. I've just never liked it. I don't just never liked it ever. I think
Also, without deep
I
diving, it's probably not the same in your house now, since
well,
obviously.
no, it's definitely not the same. But I never. My family were never a big Christmas family. Like never. Like it was like Christmas was
What?
Christmas, but it was never like let's see, like we're as a family we're a close family, but we're not like it's hard to explain. Like we do the Christmas
No,
dinner,
everybody's
we do
family
all the
dynamics
presents,
different.
but like you know, like Christmas in some families is a very big social thing because like I always worked all Christmas, all the big dates I was working. My sister was coming over from England, and my mum was probably working most of the time. My dad would have been off. There was never really like we're never the biggest Christmas people. We're never the biggest people as a family celebrations in general. You know what I mean? Like there would never been a big deal made about a birthday. It would have been a deal made, but not like some families is fucking cakes, family meals. But there would have been like, do you want to go for food for your birthday? And you'd be like, I'm actually all right. They'd be like, right, sweet. They would never be forced or pushed on it. Like it was never. It was all. As a family, we're always really like, sure, we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
that's just your dynamic. It's like the same as ours, for example. Like, it doesn't matter where, like, for example, my birthday is actually next Saturday and I'm away for it. But like, I don't need to say this. And I'm not saying it because like I know but like when I go home, they will do like a cake or something.
Ah,
They'll just do
yeah,
it, and you don't need to ask. And it doesn't matter if you want or not. It's the same as like if it's my sister's birthday, my mom's or my dad's. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you want it or not. We just always do some sort of cake or
yeah.
bun or something stupid. Sing happy birthday to you. You'll know it because the tune always plays. Like, we play that old school one in our house, and everybody sings it. The lights go off, the dog barks,
Uh,
and then that's it for that. Like, that's it. It's just already thought
uh,
because you said yours. It's just like your own wee.
it's different family dynamics. It's just different family. Like with like ex-girlfriends. I've had like ex-girlfriends that had like very close-knit families, like stupidly close-knit, and I had ones that are like the same also, just do your own thing, whatever. And I've had other ones that are all like wider families, like if it's someone's birthday, the grannies, granda, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, everyone, you're just like, fuck. So I've seen all the dynamics, and I know all the good things, but like, go back to things like Christmas for me, I would probably, if I wanted if I was doing a solo Christmas, which I'd have no issue doing, I would definitely be going somewhere beachy.
Yeah, because we went to the Bahamas
Somewhere as far
here.
away from the normal Christmas.
That's what we done last year. Like, and people were like to me, "Oh,
Yeah.
did not feel like Christmas?" And I was like, "Man, I was wearing red speedos and a red hat on the beach. It was fucking epic." So I think
Yeah.
I'll obviously be. It's wherever I pick to go for December. So it's probably going to be like a week in Thailand or 2 weeks in Thailand or something. Do you know what's nice too? See, when you go to a warm country, if anybody's ever never done this, and the culture is not like just Christmas because everything is open still because it's actually it's nice in that sense because it's not like just come down. I think as well, when you think about the celebration of it, like you're technically celebrating because you've managed to live longer. Like a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of people would like obviously life expectancy kicks up now, but like that's the actual thing. Like a lot of people forget, like whenever they're doing their birthday, they get hyped up into the events. Like you should actually be grateful. Like a lot of people don't see the age you're seeing. Like I turned 29, which is mental. Like I never thought I'd get there, and I love this. I love this. I've made a post and I've actually written about it, but I haven't done it yet. And I love the quote like yesterday you were 17 and today you're 27, like, and it's literally like that for me. It's like yesterday I was 19, like literally 19, and today I'm 20. I'm turning 29 pretty much next week, and it feels like it happened in a day. Like it does feel like it happened so fast, and I think it's one of these things. It's like a reflection period. Like I've been journaling this quite a lot because obviously I'm getting very close to 30, which is like once you go out of your 20s, that's a very pivotal moment. I feel like it's different when you say your age, like 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 is a different age bracket, in my opinion. And if you're listening to this and you're younger than me, I just want you to realize like it does feel like I don't know if anybody if you're listening to this, you're probably over 17, maybe not. But like I remember asking my dad, going to him like, does it ever feel like days are like so like long and weeks and years? A really good concept here, and I think we developed this way before was my dad said to me once you hit 18 or 20, he was like, it feels like your life is putting fast forward every year just ever so slightly on our TV remote. And he was like, every year gets quicker. And he was like, when you turn 30 he was like, every decade gets quicker. So if you think the last decade went fast, he's like, wait do you see the next? So me and him talk about this. I'm like, what was the last decade like from 50 to 16? He's like, it feels like a replay. And I was like, what feels like it slows it down? He was like, travel slows it down quite a lot, breaking things up. The more routine you stay, the quicker things move. And that's probably one of the reasons why I actually do travel so much as well, because it feels like I live different lives. But the reason that happens as well is because when you think about it, when you're 1 to 30, for example, right? A year's 1/30th of your life. When you're 1 to 60, a year's 1/60th. So your brain actually comprehends that that's a smaller time period. So it makes it even feel like less because you've lived longer. So that's apparently there's a full like dynamic and process called for that in your brain, like how your brain comprehends time, and tries to keep memories. And you need to remember that your brain washes out a lot of the shit, the mundane stuff, because it's not survival. Like it's no use remembering what you done 5 years ago and had for lunch. Like that's why your brain doesn't fucking need that. It only remembers like key moments or key things that are really valuable to you or affect you emotionally. That's why like traumatic breakups or deaths, all that lasts because that's all stuff that harmed you psychologically or physically, and that's why they leave scars. Versus like if you really enjoyed a fucking sandwich, you don't remember that for the rest of your days. But I think that idea of like how time moves is such a, if you, because I'm sure like Mickey, like the last 10 years to you, did the last 10 years to you move faster than the 10 years prior? Because you're, what age are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
39.
Yeah, like did like, because I'm turning 29.
Yeah, actually.
And does it like isn't it mad like tomorrow you're gonna be 49, I'll be 39? Isn't that mental?
Yeah. It is. I never actually. So that you were saying about the turn of 30 thing, the turn of 30 thing never once got me at all. Turning 25 was the big one for me. No, sorry, turning 26 was the big one for me. And I mean, it was the only time that age ever mattered to me in the slightest. For one full morning, I was fucking in the horrors of depression. And it was one comment a girl made. One comment a friend of mine made. Wish me happy birthday, and goes, isn't it mad you're over a quarter of a century old? or we're over a 1/4% fuel. And I swear to God, that got into my head, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. And she's the exact same as me. Actually, she's probably about 3 months older than me. And turning 30, I think turning 30 it's so like you're powerful at what you're doing now. See, when you turn 30, there's a whole new lease of not giving a fuck that
Fuck, I
comes
have
into your
zero
body.
fucks.
But I mean, that's what I mean. You're so powerful now, but like you'll really like you'll give even less a fuck. You'll be like, I've made it to 30. Shut the fuck up. You know, it's
One,
like
yeah.
it's like, you know, like some people say there's like old like granddads and granddads got these confidence of like, you know, you fucking here, I've been on this earth longer than you, get out of the fucking road there, I'm not queuing in the supermarket. You know, that's sort of like zero fucks are given.
One thing I definitely noticed too is one thing I'm really glad I've done, and it's not paying tuition now, but like I think I bought my first property and like started investing a lot of money when I was like, fuck, it must have been like 2023 now. Like it was a good time ago now. Maybe it was 23, 20. It was after about a year in the fire service or so. And like, I'm really starting to see the benefit of that now, like already. And I'm like, I can feel the pressure off myself. I can feel like where I put money in stocks and shares rather than spunking it and shit. I'm buying fancy cars too soon. I'm already feeling the benefit of like the pressure off myself because I'm like, if I have a 20-year mortgage, I'm like, fuck, I'm almost a third of the way through that for a lot of them houses now. And
Yeah.
I'm like that sense of like, oh, like this moves fast. Like people tell me, Joe, reinvest to keep your wealth long term, and people saying, oh, but you're young and stuff. I was like, well, I'm glad I did because the last 6, 7 years went very, very quick. And like, don't get me wrong, like it's given me a lot of safety too because there was one investment I made, and I'll not talk too deep about it, but about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it came to me and it was it. Now this is high risk. Like most people wouldn't take it, and I was like, well, every other investment I've done has been fucking like really moderate, like smart. So it came and another one came, and I was like, right, I'm gonna stick 50 into one of them, and I'll stick 30 into the other. And like that was like my like I would never consider doing that. And one of them paid off fucking massively, and one of them absolutely fucking tanked the balls. May as well fucking call it, like every penny gone. Like, and the thing was,
Jesus.
oh yeah, but but you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But
Well, that's it. That's the whole point of that's the risk and reward.
yeah, you could have lost both of them. I didn't lose both of them. One, like one's made enough that it covers the other and stuff. But it's one of them things where like you also have to break down and think about the process and go like, one, if that was all your investment, you would take that. Most people would have took the risk well, no, I really would have took the risk. But a case of like you take that risk and you have no safety net because you've been spunking your money. It's a time game now. And if you're listening to this, like I'm sure anybody that's older than me will obviously say, you know, time moves anyway. So you want to make sure your money's working for you. And it's not just the S&P 500 because I feel like a lot of people fall in that trap. And I feel like if you are, and I know this is going a bit of a tangent, but like we should definitely do a wealth creation one because that's probably where I'm going to be best now. It's sort of what I'm doing a lot of. And
Yeah.
like for me, like the S&P 500 is if you don't know where to put your money, throw it in there. You'll get 6 to 10% back every single year. But the problem was the last couple of years, the inflation was so high of like 10 to 12 to 13% that it add up your profit. But the thing is, if you didn't put your money anywhere, like if you're sitting with like 10, 20 grand in the bank account and it's been sitting there for years, put it into something that's just going to make money, even if it's an S&P. Like it'll make something because money in the bank right now every year, like people don't realize this. Like inflation eats at your money. Like if you had 100 grand in your bank account, like say the last 3 years, say it was 8% inflation last year. I think the years before that was like 13 and 9. So say in rough math, 30%, 25%. That 100 grand might be 100 grand, but it's only worth 75 grand in today's market because look at the price of butter, look at the price of fuel. Everything
Yeah.
goes up, so that's worth less. So to keep your money even the same for your relative wealth, you need to be making sure it's earning you more. That's why the poor get poor and the rich get richer to an extent, but the poor get poor because minimum wage doesn't match the increase in inflation anymore. It used to
No.
years ago. That's why like people in 40 years ago could have lived off minimum wage with a very solid, like not like obviously the quality of your life, but like a case of like you could have lived like a very quality life compared to like other people,
Yeah.
relative. Like although like you know your wages moved up, the quality of life you live now, obviously everyone felt the pinch from COVID because I think like the track and trace and stuff's crippled the economy to an extent. but a case of the investment strategies and stuff you're doing. Like that isn't like a case of me being like, be a dork and put this much away and that. But if you always spend less than you make, you'll never go broke. And if you always reinvest a solid amount, you'll never be stressed. And for me, you see, yes, it might feel good buying a really dear watch, or yes, it might feel good putting money into this. But at the same time, do you know what? I'll be honest, see, from me, I'm not a very flashy person. Uh, See, not having the stress of worrying about money is there's no piece of clothing, there's no watch, there's no car that can give you that sense of like, oh well, it doesn't really matter. I'm safe as houses now. Like I'm gonna be straight as fuck. Like see that pressure being off you where like if like I lose that investment that's really high risk, it doesn't actually really matter at all. Like it doesn't if you look at it like because money starts turning into a game, that's when you know that's why I was talking to somebody before about this, and I feel like that's something that I know a lot of people are probably like this is very unrelatable, but if you can feel where you're like you're safe, that's a very people underrate how much calming that has. Like you imagine, yes, you're spent money now and it feels good, but if you imagine when you're 40 or 45 or 50 and you're like, well, my house is covered because I have two other properties that I saved up and I reinvest in, and that is my pension on top of my pension. And you might be like, well, that's a long time away. But the problem is like it's just safety. Like when you have such a big safety net, it just creates this like taken care of because you don't know what's going to happen. Like anybody, like if you have to pay for your mom and dad's care, or if just something happens where you can't work or you get fired, it just creates that like. And as you said, your fucks go as well. Like I've noticed more and more now. I don't care as much. Like my Instagram goes tomorrow. My all that goes. I'm like, well, I have a quite a large property business, so like I am absolutely fine. And if anything asking myself, worst case scenario. When I said this the other day, me and JP, we're talking about it, right? And we were talking about business, and I was like, I always ask myself, how could this be worse? And whenever I break down my worst case scenario, and I say this all the time, it's my worst case scenario for me right now is if everything goes tits up, I go home, I live in my bedroom, and I train, and I eat lunch and dinner with my family every day until I get probably another job. And I was like,
same as always.
And Jim, and I was like, so my worst case scenario is probably what I would do anyway when I'm fucking retired. The difference is that I would just be living in probably a nice, slightly nicer house and maybe a warmer country. And I'm like, that worst case scenario is not that bad. Like I was like that. I was like, actually, there's some days where I would take that over being maybe in Richmond, Virginia. Joe. So
yeah,
I think when you ask yourself this, like, there's always going to be somebody that's going to take you in. Like, there's going to be somebody who's going to give you a couch. There's going to be somebody who'll help you with the kids. It's one of them things where like, I think that framing that to yourself always makes things add up. It's like, how could things be worse? And for majority of people, once you do that, it flips the script. And I feel like that is the most important thing that I've asked myself in the last 5 years. Like, no matter through breakups, no matter through risk investments, no matter on shit days, on bad days, on injuries, I go, how could this be worse? And immediately comes to mind is, Joe, worst case scenario, it also comes through. And the first thing that comes to mind, I'm like, somebody close to me could be Dan or X, Y, or Z. And it just flips the script, in my opinion. Sorry, a bit of a rant.
Yeah, definitely. That's it's the always looking on the brighter side and never digging out negatives or creating negatives or that's kind of I think we're all guilty of that. And we've got actually some questions for a change.
Oh, fire them out. Everybody's guilty of that. The point is though, there's a difference in feeling negative, feeling like down and feeling off. Like, trust me, like whenever I lost that investment, I was like, oh fuck. But then like it's how quickly you sit in that puddle and feel sorry for yourself, or you go, live by the sword, die by the sword, fuck it. Let's move on here. And what can I focus on actually doing? And then you move forward. And it's the same with all that. Like feel the emotion. Don't sit in it. There's a difference.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
it's like whenever you feel down as a man, like it's okay to feel off and down and not feel good. Don't feel like that's shameful. Like that is completely fine. But there's a difference between feeling down for a couple of days and a week and like laying on the couch 4 months later eating fucking Dominoes and pizzas and feeling sorry for yourself and saying that you're just in a bad place mentally. Like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Well,
happy.
that's it. There's solutions out there, but you just need to take the first step to
Exactly. Now,
try to help yourself.
right, go.
Everybody's different. Jack Cullinan. Good man, Jack. You
Oh,
get to run the world for one day. What 3 laws are you enforcing to change the world?
fucking hell, mate.
Fuck, that's a rough one.
I mean, I barely know fucking 3 laws.
Well, I have a radical thing. I think that there has to be something done about people that murder people, people that break the law. I don't think they can ever return to society. People, not people that break law, people who do like horrific things. I don't think they can ever return to society, and that's my opinion.
So like so like you feel like there should be like what, a small island that you just get sent to if you're
Small island, if like for I'm thinking like stuff like murderers, pedophiles. I
Where do you
just
draw the
don't.
line though? Like what about like people who hit and run somebody because
Well, that'd be manslaughter. That'd be different.
right,
That's not
sorry.
like I mean, if you go out like and
You go out and
murder,
stab somebody, yeah.
start, yeah, I just don't believe that. Yeah, rehabilitation. People might go mad about this. Yeah, rehabilitation exists. Yeah, but nah, you fucking went out and you chose to do something. School
But
shooters.
I feel like when the punishment is so much higher than
People stop doing it.
yeah, there's a lack of thing. It's like in Dubai, like the crime rate is so low because there's no.
Yeah.
You just get. It's like here. It's like back home. If you boot somebody in the head, like there's hearings and there's this and that. If you do that in Dubai, or you say you smacked, if you hit a cop back home, like you probably might not end up in jail. If you smack a cop in Dubai, you're getting fucking locked up for 20 years. Like there's no hearing, there's no none. It's just there's your cellmate C and 20 and you're fucked. So whenever the tolerance is less, I do feel like that wouldn't hurt. Obviously, there's gonna be the small downside of like mistakes and that, or if somebody's like not actually guilty and is proven to be guilty, all that comes into play. But for me, yeah, I think that's a very interesting law. Like, oh fuck, man, I honestly don't know. I'd say mine would probably be something around quality of life or something. Do you know what I mean? Like there has to be a minimum. Like the problem is obviously it's like it sounds good, but like I feel like stuff like the NHS is great. Something like along the lines of like you need a minimum requirement whenever you're born that the government like no matter what help you with, but at the same time then that cripples because the economy. The law, I mean, that's such an in-depth question for me. I would probably say if I could change a law, I'd probably be fucking removing tax and VAT. But like that's not fucking realistic, like because like that obviously pays for such a large amount of the.
What if tax like worked in the same way as like your student loan work, where you only started paying tax when you made like that? What is it?
That is technically
grand. But 18 grand or 16 or whatever it is, but that's very fucking low. Like
11 grand tax free. You get, it depends if you're a VAT company, you get then 20% tax up to 85 grand a year, and then you get tax VAT on anything over that at 20%.
They should probably raise that mark to at least mid-20s, mid-20 grands, because 11 grand's fucking, no offense to anybody that's earning that. It's a very low, like you're not.
I feel like if you're a minimum wage, you shouldn't pay it.
Yeah, you shouldn't be paying it if you're minimum wage. You shouldn't be paying it up to the age of. They should be giving people a chance to accrue a wee bit of wealth, maybe to the age of 23, 24, because fucking students do get.
I think that would actually be a smart move, like raising the age bracket for tax rather than where it is, just to give you a bit of a head start. But like,
I think education should be free as well.
Or if initially, what would be really smart is if your first 10 years of tax actually got put in your like pension pot or something for you, or Joe.
Oh yeah.
No choice, but it was reinvested for you. Like just so you've got fucking something if you're older. Now a lot of people wouldn't like that. Like I don't have a massive pension. Like I don't really invest too much in that because of the other things. But that's part of the high risk game, and it's one of the things where I could end up homeless. But what other questions we got? That's fucking too intense.
But I do also think education should be free, or at least if you're going to do multiple degrees, your first degree should be free. Because you shouldn't be rewarded for passing your exams and A levels with a fucking heap of debt because you want to learn more and you have to pay more to learn more. Which is a weird concept. Owen McGinn.
Oh, really?
Do you still? Is he one of your clients?
Do
you still care what people think? Do you still face judgments? If so, any stories? Every fucking day, mate. I don't care what people think, but I face judgment every single day.
He's doing the social rejection challenge right now. If anybody wants to tune in his Instagram, it's very good. Pretty much what he does is like he's doing. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but like we were talking about the social rejection challenge because I goes to Where'd you get the idea from, and he got it from the exact same place as me, a podcast where you pretty much get rejected for 100 days in a row to build up your confidence. And I've actually done parts of it, I just never filmed. So the idea and the concept is like you go into McDonald's and you ask for a pizza. Or you just ask anybody anything that you're like, I'm probably going to get a no from. So it ranges from like going into McDonald's asking for a pizza to like just asking a randomer, can I drive your car? Like just straight up and see what they say. And a lot of the time you'll get no's. But the funniest thing is, during the challenges, whenever you see this done, a lot of the time people go, yeah, like why not? Like if somebody asked me to drive my car, I'd be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if you want to do it and it's gonna make your day. So I noticed he's done like he asked an Amazon driver to drive the van or truck. He's asked the girl out. He's asked the barista, can he make his own coffee, which I actually thought was a great one. And yeah, let him in behind. So I was like, I rate that. So I was like, oh, that's hilarious. But for me, it's one of the things where I've noticed that because if anybody's ever seen this, and we'll dive through this, but if you are male or female, if you've ever done, now this sounds really odd, but like for example, like a lot of the dating advice and tips and courses and coaches, what they'll really make you do at the start is they'll make you go out and get 100 no's in this.
Yeah.
They'll go, you've got a week to get 10 no's, or you've got a week to get 100. I've seen one where people would be like I seen one online. It was like his 10th person was a girl on a bike, and he started jogging beside her, talking to her, and she actually ended up stopping and giving him the number. And I was like, it's because like most people wouldn't do that, and most women don't even get asked out in person. I notice that anytime I've asked a woman out in person, or like I'm always like them after. I'm like, if we're on the date or whatever, I'm always like, how often would you get asked out? And they're like, never. It creates you as an outlier straight off the bat. But that 100 days of rejection is to get you used to saying no, because if your entire self-worth is underpinned by this false bravado of like, if your sense of self-worth is so delicate that you can't take a no, that shows your entire self-worth is not self-worth, it's externally biased. And the idea of it is to bring back control of you, to show that it's not going to break you, show that a no isn't going to affect you over time. And the more you get that, it's really, really important. I know I went a bit of a tangent about that, but
well, yeah, that's true. It's like in the music industry, like people are so afraid of releasing music. They're so afraid of sending their music to labels because the label, like, I would say if you send your music to 100 labels, you're probably getting rejected by 99.
Getting ghosted, probably not even getting rejected.
Oh, I would. Most of the time, the big labels aren't even going to fucking listen to it. Like, and they'll send you back a reply going, yeah, like your work, but it's just not quite what we're looking for now. And you're like, you didn't fucking listen because it's exactly the same as the music you do, but I know it's probably not the quality, but they just have a pre thing. But I know people that's got brilliant music and they won't even let it out of a folder on their computer.
Yeah, they're nervous of the thing. But that's the same as like people think, oh, do you know what changes? It doesn't. Like, for example, I messaged somebody with 2 million Instagram followers the other week being like, Joe, really nice message. I followed them blogged. And like they read it and just didn't reply. I was talking about collab and like they read like, and I was like, that's all right, like that's normal because I'm small fry to you. But like down the line, I'll message again and I'll not take it offensively and be like, oh, he wouldn't collab with me when he had 2 million. I'd like I'll just be like, well, do you know, like who gives a fuck? He could have been busy.
It's different if he was Rudy and reply going, bro, wise up or something, and then you'd be like, okay, that's fair enough.
That's the same.
That's like yeah.
Seems somebody messaging me of 40,000 followers. Like they know the odds are small, might happen, but it's one of them things where just it's part of the game. What was the exact fuck? Sorry, the question.
Do you still care? Do you still care what people think? Do you still face judgment? If so, any stories?
I can dive into that first, or you can. I absolutely do. I don't care what anyone. I think.
Well, I think clearly, if anybody's ever been in your comment section.
Oh well, the thing is though, like I think everybody to some extent cares what people think. I think if you say you don't at all,
I think I care that they have an opinion, but I don't actually maybe care what the opinion is. I care that they've went out of their way to maybe pass judgment, and I'm like, oh, that's strange that you'd go and pass judgment on that. But also, everybody, like, if you have 5 friends, you probably have 4 different views on the same subject. So, you know, it'd be different if every person was saying the same judgment on me. So say if for instance, I put up a video that was a wee bit shitty or something, a wee bit like that's a wee bit fucking rude or a wee bit touch and go, and everybody came at me and said, lad, you need to watch that video, or that's a wee bit maybe, then I would start going, right, okay, I'll take that on board because it gets a multiple opinion thing. But if one person's passing judgment or 2 people or perfect strangers and they're not given any sort of value with the judgment, I'll never take it, because like growing up in the music industry, everyone's got a judgment. For some people, I'm their favorite DJ. For other people, I'm the biggest fucking asshole in the world. They hate to see me playing. And that is okay, and that's fine, and every single DJ is the same. I've heard people say, like, openly go, oh, Calvin Harris is shit. And you're like, well, he's shit to you, but he's not shit to fucking millions of people in the world. Or the one the other day was, it was actually last night, we were talking about Ed Sheeran, something to do with Ed Sheeran, they were like, oh, Ed Sheeran's absolutely fucking crap. And you're like, well, no, he's not crap, like, he's fucking Ed Sheeran. But that's okay that you think that, because everybody's got an opinion and everybody likes things in different ways.
Yeah, see, for me, it's one of them things where they caring what people think. I think you always will naturally, because of the way society is, because of like how safety is, you will immediately flick into that mode, but it's how quickly you flick out of it. So it's like, oh, there's a girl with a group of her friends. Do I go up and ask her out? And you're like, oh, what if she says no because your self-worth? But then, what if her friends laugh, or what if somebody says something, or what if it gets passed around a group chat? And that's where you have to then go, I'm just overanalyzing this. It's not a big deal. And that's where like action beats thought every time, and then you actually build yourself out of it. In terms of like caring what people think, like I said this in the podcast a while back, like I've just pulled over the car and asked people out. Like it's me and Daniel have, like me and Joseph, me and Daniel, everyone with will know that if I start to get edgy about doing something, I'll usually do it because it'll flex the muscle. So I always call it flexing the muscle, because if you don't flex it, you lose it. So for example, like if I get nervous, I'm like, oh, that's a good looking woman. I'd be like, I almost think in my head, I'd be nervous to talk to her. I'm like, right, well, I'm gonna go and make a balls list and I'll go talk to her. But then it flexes and it just makes it easier. And it's the same as like really whenever you break this down, it's like being on camera, it's all of it. Like, so like I said this before, whenever I was in Dubai Mall, I was like to Yip, I was like, I'm very nervous about filming here. And I was like, so break out that camera. And he was like, fucking hell. And I was like, I don't even think you're allowed to film in them all. And I was like, we'll just film a short reel just because it'll do the reps. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, fuck, I can tell. Because I'm like, there's fucking thousands walking by. Like I was like, it's actually your shot of me. And I was like, that's like doing a public performance in front of hundreds of people. And I was like, that's the only reason I'm doing it, because I was like, it's a rep. And I was like, if I film in Dubai Mall, filming here is easy. It's like if you ask the very best looking woman you've ever seen out, then going over to anybody is much easier. So for me, it's one of the things where if you feel intimidated, you feel like you're nervous, you feel like you care what people think, that is the most important time to send it and do it, because otherwise you flex the other muscle, you build the insecurity, you build that comfort zone, you build that like more and more. So I think everybody cares, and I think telling yourself that your fucks just go, like I always say, all my fucks went, like they didn't go. Like I still care what people think, I still care what my mum thinks, I still care what I ran them in the street. But the difference is I recenter my thought process and I'd be like, well, I don't give a fuck about it. Like I care, but the thing is, I recenter and go, you
take it on board.
Take it all in. You have to, because it's going to come to the forefront of your mind. But it's what decision do you make regardless? It's like saying, or like, are you always motivated for the gym? It doesn't matter if I'm motivated or I care, whatever thing. It's what you do from it. It's like when people say, oh, what is bravery? What is courage? And I'm like, that is when you feel, being brave isn't the absence of fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's what you do regardless. Just because you're scared, if you still do the thing, that technically means you're brave. It technically means you're courageous, because you're scared and you're doing it. The person who doesn't give a fuck and still does the same thing isn't as important as the person who gives a fuck and overcomes that thought process. In terms of stories for me, I have fucking hundreds where I've asked people out. Whenever people, I've done a good bit of social rejection stuff as well. And for me, it's just one of the things where, like, as I said, I'll pull over the car, ask a woman out, and if it's a no, it's a no. And that's happened to me. And I've been there in, a vest with Crocs, like just as like, I know this sounds terrible, but like as a rep, because like if you don't do it, you lose it. And the thing was, like, I was leaving the next week, so I had no intention of taking the person out. And I got to know when people were like, what the fuck was the point in that? Because the first thing they would say in their mind was, well, you're not even going to take that person out, so why would you bother? But the point of the rep and the point of it is the fact that I was nervous about doing it. So that's when it needs done most. So I think we're gonna probably call it there, because I have a fucking staff meeting in 1 minute. 1 minute, I say we'll stop early, but unless there's anything you want to add, Mickey, like, share.
No, we'll so recording again in 2 days for next week's, aren't we? So we'll get on to the other questions on that. There's a few more questions in there.
Boom.
But yeah, we'll actually jump on to wealth on the next one.
I
think that'll be a good one. So guys, rate, review, share. We're back on Instagram. Got it finally back on. So expect no content on that, but we're there. So
right. Big love.
Good luck. See you again.